Private Elias Carter, you are 19 years old and you have not slept in 4 days. Not because anyone is preventing you. Because sleep requires something stable to lie on, and the thing beneath you stopped being stable long ago. It is clay, chalk, water, and the memory of ground, churned again and again by artillery until it has lost all structure. You are lying in it. You have been lying in it long enough that the cold has changed its nature. It is no longer something that bites. It is something that erases. The older men told you this would happen. They said the moment you stop feeling cold is the moment you should be afraid. You did not understand them then. You understand them now without needing to think about it. You enlisted in the summer of 1914. You remember the posters in sharp detail, brighter than anything you have seen since. Clean uniforms, straight lines, men standing upright as if war were something that could be posed for. You remember the crowds outside the recruiting office, boys your age laughing, pushing each other forward, turning it into a moment that felt like celebration. There was energy in the air, something close to excitement, something that made it easy to step through the door without hesitation. The sergeant who took your name had ink on his fingers and did not look up when he wrote it down. That detail stays with you more than anything else. The lack of ceremony, the absence of meaning in the moment that would define everything after it. That was September. It is now November in Belgium. The distance between those 2 points is not measured in months. It is measured in something else entirely, something that does not have a name but is understood by everyone who has made the same journey. Nothing here resembles what you imagined. Not the land, not the air, not the men, not yourself. Your rank is private, the lowest rank in the army. It means you exist at the base of everything. Orders come down through layers you never see, and by the time they reach you, they are no longer questions or plans. They are instructions. You do what you are told by everyone above you, which is everyone. You carry the rifle, the bayonet, the ammunition, the entrenching tool, the gas mask, 2 days of rations, a ground sheet, spare socks that never stay dry, and everything else assigned to you. Together it weighs close to 60 pounds. The weight is constant. It presses into your shoulders, into your spine, into your hips. After a while, it stops feeling heavy and becomes part of you, the way the cold has become part of you. Your section is 10 men. Corporal Daniel Rook runs it. He is 23 years old and has been here long enough that the war has reorganized him into something functional within its rules. When the artillery starts, he goes completely still. Not frozen, controlled. There is a difference, and you have learned to see it. The newer men watch him and copy him without understanding why. They do it because he is still alive, and that is the only qualification that matters. Your day begins before dawn. It always begins before dawn. Stand to. Every man climbs onto the fire step, rifle ready, eyes fixed on the stretch of land ahead that is called no man's land, as if naming it makes it easier to understand. Because dawn is when attacks happen. Because light reveals movement. Because this is the hour when both sides are most vulnerable and therefore most dangerous. You stand there, watching nothing, expecting everything. Time stretches in a way that makes minutes feel uncertain. When the light is strong enough, stand down is called. The tension does not disappear. It settles somewhere inside you and waits. Breakfast follows. A tin of bully beef that has gone cold long before it reached you. Bread that has absorbed moisture from the air and mud from your hands. You eat it without thinking. Taste is no longer part of the experience. Food is function now, fuel for something that does not stop. After breakfast, the work begins. Repairing the trench. It is never finished. It cannot be finished. Sandbags collapse under their own weight. Wood supports rot from constant damp. The walls press inward as if the earth is slowly reclaiming the space you have carved into it. You shovel, you lift, you reinforce. You understand that if you stop, even briefly, the trench will begin to disappear. Not all at once, but gradually, in a way that cannot be reversed if it goes too far. The trench is not permanent. It is something you maintain against constant pressure. If you do not maintain it, it becomes a ditch. If it becomes a ditch, it becomes something else. Something final. Night changes everything. It removes what little certainty the day provides. Shapes disappear. Distances become harder to judge. Sounds travel differently. At night, the trench feels both safer and more dangerous at the same time. Patrols go out. Small groups of men moving into no man's land for reasons that are explained in simple terms but experienced in ways that are not simple at all. You have been out twice. The first time, You moved forward slowly enough that your muscles began to shake from the effort of controlling them. Every movement was deliberate. Every sound felt amplified. You crawled through wire and shell holes, feeling your way through darkness that seemed complete. Nothing happened. You returned before dawn. That was considered a successful patrol. The second time, something did happen. It was brief. It was loud. It was close. It changed something in you in a way that is difficult to describe and unnecessary to discuss. You do not talk about it. No one asks you to. Silence is how these things are handled here. What the posters never mentioned was the waiting. Not waiting for a specific event, but waiting is a constant condition. Waiting for your shift to end. Waiting for rations. Waiting for mail that might carry a piece of a world that feels increasingly distant. Waiting for relief. Waiting for orders. Waiting for something to happen or not happen. The war is not defined by action. It is defined by the spaces between actions. And the smell. At first, it is overwhelming. It fills your lungs, your clothes, your thoughts. You notice it constantly. Then, gradually, you notice it less. Then one day, you realize you do not notice it at all. The older men told you this would happen. They said it would mean you had become part of this place in a way that is difficult to reverse. You are Private Elias Carter. You are the lowest point in a structure that depends entirely on the strength of its base. Everything above you exists because you exist. Everything above you assumes you will continue to exist. You are the war. Everything else is built around you. Lance Corporal Elias Carter, you have been given one stripe and a responsibility that does not come with clear instructions. The change is immediate and subtle at the same time. The men who stood beside you now stand slightly behind you. They speak to you differently. They watch you in a way they did not before. You did not ask for this change. It arrived because someone else left. That is how advancement works here. You are responsible for 4 men. Each one carries something different. Fletcher is 17, though officially he is older. He tries to prove something constantly, though it is not clear to anyone what that something is. Davies was a schoolteacher and still carries fragments of that life with him, quoting lines of poetry under his breath when the shelling becomes intense. Hicks has been here long enough that his reactions have flattened into something steady and quiet. Briggs smiles often, but the smile does not reach his eyes. It is a habit, not an expression. They look to you now. Not for answers, but for stability. Tonight you lead a wiring party. 3 men, 2 hours, no man's land. The wire in front of your position has been destroyed again. It must be replaced. This is not considered a significant operation. It is routine. Routine does not mean safe. You move out at 2,300 hours. The sky is overcast. No moon. Darkness is an advantage, but it is also a complication. You move low, keeping your body close to the ground. You have learned how to distribute your weight so the mud does not betray you with sound. You have learned how to stop instantly when a flare rises, freezing in place as light washes over the ground, turning everything into sharp outlines for a few seconds that feel longer. You reach the wire. You begin the work. It requires precision more than strength. Barbed wire has a sound when it is handled carelessly. That sound carries. You avoid it. You loop, twist, secure. Your hands move with a confidence that did not exist weeks ago. You learn this by doing it wrong once and surviving long enough to learn the correct way. Time passes in a way that is difficult to measure. You focus on the task. The world narrows to the immediate space around your hands. 2 hours later, you are back in the trench. The wire is in place. There was no contact. Hicks has a minor cut on his forearm where a barb caught him in the dark. It is cleaned and wrapped without discussion. You report to Corporal Rook. Job done. He nods. That is the extent of the acknowledgement. There is no record. There is no mention beyond this moment. The wire you replaced will likely be destroyed again. Someone else will replace it. That will also not be recorded. This is not a war that builds monuments. It is a war that maintains positions.